Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Red Eye Ride Man, and I'm here to bring you some information about one of these beasts and the cost of these beasts from 2020 up until today, which is 2024. Now, I do know it's a few friends of mine, and maybe you who's watching this video may be interested in buying, one of these beasts here. But the price comparatively to, 2020 to 2024 may just change your mind, but I also know the thrill, the ride, and the enjoyment of these beasts may override all of that. Let's dive straight into it. Back in 2020, you could get you a good base model Hellcat between $65,000 to $70,000. Now, for the wide bodies and the red eyes, you were looking between $80,000 and $85,000. Yeah, $80,000 and $85,000, right? Now, that's just sticker price, right? That doesn't include all of the additional fees and things like that the dealership, application fees, tax fees, and all that stuff that brings the price up just a little bit more. But the MSRP on these things, without being ripped off, in 2020 was between $65,000 to $70,000 for the base model Hellcats, and for red eye wide bodies and all the other glamorous stuff, with these beasts here, came out between, $80,000, $85,000, maybe even $90,000. I've seen some of these cars MSRP, marked up to $100,000. It all depends on, what the features are in the inside. But when I say base model, we're talking base, right? That means not premium package. You don't get the red seats. You don't get the wheels. You don't get the lug nuts. I say base model, like not adding any additional features, and that's what the price of the cars was. And if you know me and you're following me for some time, you definitely know that I got that red eye for $80K out the door. So let's go ahead and jump into what it is then versus what it is now. Now let's jump into the year 2024, today's current time, date and time. You can get one of these base model Hellcats starting out MSRP at $85,000. Now remember, in 2020, it was $85,000 for the wide body red eyes. Now that's base model Hellcat, not red eye. In 2024, looking at a red eye, you're probably looking at over, right at $100,000 MSRP. The price significantly jumped. The demand for these cars significantly jumped. It's just a lot of raw power, and I think I honestly think, the reason the prices increased is because they started adding additional power, right? So, the red eyes, they're not just labeling them red eyes anymore. You got jailbreaks that are, last calls, different type of trim models that is increasing the price. But in all actuality, it's the same freaking car. It's only the tune that makes it more power. Let me repeat that. It's the tune and maybe bigger injectors that makes it more power. That's giving you about a $10,000 to $15,000 hike up or markup price in these cars. That's what we're looking at in 2024. Let's see if it's worth it for you. So why the price hike? Makes everybody wonder what has really happened from year to year to year to year. I had to say that 4 times to increase the price of these cars. Well, I can name a few things. The driving has increased over, a period of time from COVID up until now, and inflation, right? Inflation being the first thing that comes to mind has definitely played a part, as we've seen across the board with all the car manufacturers. Not even just Dodge, but all of them. And more importantly, the Hellcat is becoming a collector's item. Now, some of you will sit here and say, why the hell would someone make this a collector's item? Well, if you haven't noticed or you haven't heard, Dodge has come out and said that they're no longer making these cars now. They're going EV. Now, because they're going electric, that makes this car a collector's item. If they keep their word and not make another one of these, it becomes a collector's item, which would be highly sought after. And because Dodge knows that, that is why there's an increase in price on this car. Just knowing that they're doing away from, the combustion engines, It just hurts my heart, honestly. It really hurts my heart. But it is what it is, right? We're in 2024. You're going to be seeing flying Hellcats soon, just like the Jetsons. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. But like I said, you know, Hellcats, as we know, may be on their way out. That's pushing up the demand for these prices. And fewer Hellcats being produced, prices are skyrocketing. And number one thing, the demand for these cars are significantly insane. Now, I will say this. If you're in the market for a used Hellcat, things have changed there too. In 2020, you can find a 2016 or 2018 used Hellcats for around $50,000 to $60,000. Can you imagine paying that now? Their Scatpack's prices are higher than those. But today, those are the same cars selling for closer to $65,000 to $75,000. Sometimes even higher, depending on the mileage and condition. Now, we all know that's part of the demand for the modern muscle cars before they're phased out by electric vehicles. So now let's do this. I want to go ahead and break this down with you guys, right? I'm sure you all can do math. So follow along with me here. So let's crunch some numbers. Back in 2020, if you financed the Hellcat with a 5-year loan at the base price of $70,000 with a decent interest rate. Now, interest rates are, you know, subjective to what's decent based on that, right? Your monthly payment would have been around $1,200 to $1,300. Today, that same loan on a 24 Hellcat Red Eye starting at $95,000 would be closer to a $1,600 to $1,700 payment per month. And that's if you get a good rate. Now, what we're looking at when we say good rate, we're thinking about the 3%, 4% range for a good rate. Those aren't the rates right now. So considering the rates, you do the math, get you a car auto loan calculator if you're watching this video and see what rate you can get. And you can do the math of what your payment would look like moving forward if you were pursuing one of these cars. So the big question is, and I'm challenging you guys to think a little bit here, is the Hellcat still worth it in 2024? I'll take a second. Drop in the comments right now if you feel like the Hellcat is still worth it in 2024. Astonishing, surprisingly, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Many people that I know, many people across the world, hell, even across the country, they still want this car regardless of the price. Isn't that insane? Isn't that insane? I honestly can't believe it, you know. But then again, I'm not in their shoes, so I don't understand, you know, what they're thinking, what their thought process is, and things like that. But these Hellcats definitely represent the peak of modern performance. I don't care what none of the Chevy guys say. I don't care what none of the Ford guys say. I don't care what none of the electric guys say. These Hellcat represents the peak of modern car performance. And with Dodge stepping away from combustion engines, which sucks, it stinks, it reeks, this is your chance to own a piece of automotive history. But with prices going up, the window to get one at reasonable price is closing fast. Now, I would say personally, you know, if you know of a friend of a friend of a friend that's selling one that's not on the black market, that's not a striker. If you don't know what a striker is, do your research. And you know that they haven't abused the car, I would consider a private sale. It's not often that you can get a steal in a private sale, but there's been times where you can get a steal in a private sale. But here's something else to factor in. It's not just the MSRP that's going up. You got to think of insurance and you got to think of maintenance. Now, when we say maintenance, like, oh, I could do it myself. Well, what about the maintenance where you can't do it yourself? What about the maintenance where you have to go to the dealership? Well, guess what? The cost of labor per hour has gone up too. So as high performance cars tend to come with higher upkeep expenses like this one, yes, I said what I said. High performance cars, this is a high performance car. Don't debate with me, debate with your parents. That's what they're there for. But this supercharged V8 still loves to guzzle gas. Now that's another expense that we have to factor in. I mean, geez, when does this stop? You already gotta pay almost over $100,000 for the car. You gotta pay almost $500 for insurance. You gotta pay, you know, let's just say fucking $400 a month in gas if you daily it. I mean, and the prices just don't stop. And that's way much more than what it was a few years ago. Because again, inflation drove up gas prices as well. But in the end, based on this video, based on the information I've provided you, the Hellcat, owning a Hellcat in 2024 is way more expensive than it was in 2020. And I really do miss the 2020 days, but guess what? If you had fun, and that time you had fun. If you wasn't there, you missed it. This is your time to have fun with these hiked up ass prices. I promise you, I don't miss it. I don't like it. I do miss the 2020 days. But for those of us who like the thrill of driving, it's hard to put a price on this experience. That's why I still have mine. If you got the budget, go get one. There's never been any better time to grab one of these beasts before they become even more exclusive. So it's like stocks, right? Hey, the Bitcoin, you missed getting into Bitcoin 30,000 years ago, but the stock Bitcoin is still going up. It's just a rough stock and investment analogy. Get it now before it blows. Just because the price went up doesn't mean that it's not going to continue to increase. Now, what's interesting is I've considered selling this car time and time again. I sat on it. I thought about it. I haven't driven it for weeks at a time. I'm not gonna say a month. It's probably been like 1 month I didn't drive it. I really considered selling this car. Now, I'm not the private seller you wanna come to and try to buy this car from, because I'm gonna tax that ass. I'm not even gonna lie, I am going to tax you. But to conclude this video, if that information was helpful, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn the notification bells on, and share this video with a friend. I said what I said earlier, you know, if you know, you think the prices are ridiculous these days, you know, drop a comment, you know, let me know. Let me know why it's not worth it. I mean, I'm sure I have an idea as to why it's not worth getting this car, but drop them comments. I want to interact with you guys, so please drop those comments. I want to read them. Again, like, comment, subscribe, turn your notification bells on. This is Red Eye Ride, and we're out.